Well, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. What a pleasure it is to be here with you once again as we celebrate the 2021 Greater Cincinnati Business Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And yes, the 2021 induction. So I don't want anyone to think I made a mistake and come up and try to slap me or anything, because that would be... Where's the police? You gotta get the police. No, the 2021 induction. This is the 27th year for this program. We are honored tonight to pay tribute to 6 outstanding individuals and to celebrate their contributions to our business community and, of course, to our entire region. At this time, I would like to introduce each of our laureates. First, welcome our first laureate, John Hayden, former CEO of Midland Insurance. Please welcome. Now, please welcome Joe Mayernick. I bet you Joe is sitting over here. He's going to sit over here, right? I should let you know, he is the Executive Vice Chairman and CEO of Prodigo Solutions and founding Chairman of Healthcare Waste Solutions. Our next laureate is the founder of Innova Premier and a groundbreaking executive with Procter and Gamble. Please welcome Ed Rigo. There should be theme music to this, I think. How are you, Ed? Laureate Peg Wyatt, another groundbreaking executive with Procter and Gamble. Also founder and CEO of Grandin Properties. And now it is my pleasure to also recognize our 2 deceased laureates, Pauline Strayhorn and the former Executive Vice President of Major Federal Savings and Loan and former chair of the YWCA Finance Committee. And Ralph Lazarus, former CEO of Federated Department Stores and founding member of the Cincinnati Business Committee. And there you have our 2021 Greater Cincinnati Business Hall of Fame laureates. Give them all another big round of applause. Now, we'll be as efficient as we can. I know that many of you might want to see Xavier. We're here at Xavier, and they're in the NIT Championship tonight. How about that? It may not, it may not be as pretty as that other dance, but it's a great thing that they are in the championship, and we wish them well tonight. We are just about to enjoy our dinner, as you know, but before we do, I'd like to express our thanks to the members of the Jazz and Dusk Quartet under the direction of Spencer Merck and Sue Brown DeFore. This amazing group consists of a select group of outstanding student musicians from really all over Greater Cincinnati and is sponsored by the Cincinnati Jazz Hall of Fame. Thank you all for sharing your incredible talents with us this evening. And now enjoy your dinner. We will start the program soon after. And now we are going to start our program. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their meal. I have the pleasure of introducing Scott Robertson. He is the chairman of RCF Group and the chairperson of tonight's event. Please give him a big round of applause.
Good evening. Thank you, Curtis. And thanks to everyone for being part of this unbelievably exciting event. Tonight, it's our distinct privilege to pay tribute to 6 individuals whose career have made a lasting impact on our business community. Those of you who know our laureates personally have had the good fortune to witness that impact firsthand. Each laureate leaves a legacy representing our city's highest business principles. Individuals who are selected for the induction into the Hall of Fame exhibit an entrepreneurial spirit, resulting in notable achievements both personally and in the profession they represent. Laureates are selected by a committee comprised of past laureates, business leaders, representatives from Junior Achievement, and the Cincinnati Museum Center. I want to thank our selection and steering committees for their work in making this event take place. To the laureate representatives who were instrumental in making sure each laureate's story was properly honored. It's a big job, and we're grateful for their work. You'll find the names of our committee members and laureate representatives listed in your program. And thanks to each and every one of you for attending tonight. You make this event a night to remember for each of our laureates. We're grateful that you're here to celebrate this honor. I would also like to recognize our past laureates in the audience. Please stand as I read your name so we can recognize you. Mary Beth Price. Mary Beth. Tom Humes. You can find their names and the names of all our other laureates who we have paid tribute to over the years in your program. Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors that have contributed to tonight's success. Our presenting sponsor is Delta Airlines. Delta has sponsored this event for many years, and we greatly appreciate their support. I know our friends at Delta congratulate all the laureates and thank the many partner companies represented in the audience tonight. Thank you, Delta. Truly, thank you, Delta. It's been a lot of years. As many of you know, the proceeds from tonight's celebration support Junior Achievement. JA builds tomorrow's business leaders through their programming that teaches students K-12 career readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. Our other sponsors include the reception sponsor, Western and Southern Financial Services, student sponsor, Hap Casselberry, diamond sponsor, Lazarus Family Foundation, platinum sponsors, Ohio National, Grandin Properties, the Armour Group, and E.W. Scripps Company. Gold sponsors, BRBS World, LLP, Cassidy Schiller, CPAs and Advisors, Colliers, Greater Cincinnati, Hauser Private Equity, Steve and Eleanor Hausler, JTM Food Group, Katz Teller, Jane and Mike Keating, Bill Krull, PNC, Procter and Gamble, RCF Group, Total Quality Logistics, UBS Financial Services, Watson's, Zileman James Holmes. Silver sponsors. There's a lot of sponsors this year. We're grateful to all of you. Silver sponsors, Cincinnati Reds, Corporex Companies, Dinsmore and Scholl, Johnson & Johnson, KPMG LLP, Mercy Health Foundation, Greater Cincinnati, Francie and John Pepper, Ed and Carol Rigo, Sonoma Holdings, and the University of Cincinnati Cancer Center. There was a lot of sponsors, and as a result of that, I'm pleased to announce that we have raised a record of $282,000, breaking the previous high water mark for junior achievement. Thank you. And now, please welcome the President and CEO of Junior Achievement, Jeff Taylor.
Good evening. I am pleased to add my congratulations to those that you've heard already, to all of our laureates here tonight. We really could not do this without you, truly, and you have been wonderful to work with, as well as all of your representatives. At Junior Achievement, we're proud of the fact that every year we serve more than 40,000 students in Greater Cincinnati. But tonight, I'd like to tell you about just one of those students. One of the several problems that Junior Achievement is addressing is generational poverty. Recently, Junior Achievement partnered with Delta Airlines to provide scholarships to 6 students to attend a week-long program at the National Flight Academy in Florida. This was a competitive process where young people had to apply and they had to be selected. A student at Euler School in Lower Price Hill applied and was selected. His name is Stephen. Stephen has grown up in poverty. His father didn't graduate from high school, and so he spent his life working at minimum wage jobs. Stephen will never benefit from generational wealth. And I use the term wealth in a relative way here. However, Stephen does have a chance to break out of that cycle. Because you see, he wants to be a pilot in the United States Air Force. And by applying for and being selected to participate in this partnership program between Junior Achievement and Delta, and attending the National Flight Academy, he has a chance to see that dream come true. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why we at Junior Achievement do what we do, to help young people see a path forward to a career that then ends up providing financial stability for that person and their family. And I want to thank each of you for being a part of Stephen's dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. 2 weeks ago, we lost our dear friend, Hap Casselberry. As many of you know, Hap was one of the founders of this event. As you'll see in this video from his induction into the Business Hall of Fame, he was an incredible business leader and a great father. We are so glad that Hap's children, Anne, Busy, Christine, and Kelly, could be with us tonight. Thank you for sharing your father and his incredible passion for helping students. We want to highlight Hap by sharing the video that was shown when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018.
While playing for the Bengals from 1968 to 1979, I worked in the off-season for a small adhesive company in Gulf Manor, Imperial Adhesives. It was part of U.S. Shoe, a large Cincinnati-based publicly traded company. After retiring from football in 1979, I became president of this little adhesive company, Imperial. As shoe manufacturing moved offshore in the late 1970s, U.S. Shoe appeared to be willing to sell Imperial adhesives. As I was just a retired football player, U.S. Shoe just wouldn't take me seriously as a potential buyer. That all changed when Hap Casselberry agreed to partner with me. He brought credibility to the negotiating table, and all of a sudden U.S. Shoe was ready to listen. We bought Imperial and sold it a few years later at a handsome profit. The proceeds from that sale represented a lot of money to me at the time. Hap let me sell it while saying we'd regret not keeping it longer and continuing it to grow. In retrospect, of course, he was right. So a very personal thanks to Hap. Edward Hap Casselberry believes he was born under a lucky star in Cincinnati. His mother gave him the nickname Happy as a baby. Anyone who knows him can understand why the nickname stuck and helped guide his outlook on life. Before joining his family's dairy business, Cedar Hill Farms, Hap first entered the business world selling Fuller brushes door to door during the summer through high school. By the end of his junior year, he had saved enough money to make his first big purchase, a 1936 four-door black Dodge. This first taste of business showed him his own potential for success. Throughout his time at Brown University, Hap worked in the Cedar Hill Farms accounting department in the summer. After graduation, he attended night school at Xavier University to earn his MBA so that he may continue his rise in business. In 1956, Hap married the love of his life, Susan Siddall. She once said that everything Hap touches turns to gold. By 1960, the family sold the dairy business with Hap's help, at the right time and at the right price. He constructed a list of criteria to help determine whether a company was a good purchase. In short order, Hap bought the U.S. Janitorial Company. It was a well-run operation and had good growth potential. The company opened operations in several other cities and won contracts to maintain Greater Cincinnati, Tampa, and Orlando's airports. He took this small building maintenance company and expanded it to over 1,500 employees in 5 states. By 1970, he received an offer he couldn't refuse and sold the company to ARA Services, the large vending and food services company.
Hap Casselberry is a very talented businessman. He acquired U.S. Janitorial Company, added services, acquired other companies, merged them into it, and he sold that company 7 years after he acquired it for 10 times his original investment. That's an incredible return in just bankers' eyes.
After the sale, he started investing in real estate. He bought apartments on the east side and the west side. He also bought a downtown office building for his headquarters and rented space to tenants. He used his extensive experience to set up a brokerage business named E.F. Casselberry and Associates. Over the next 25 years, Hap continued his quest of buying and selling businesses and real estate in the Cincinnati area. Hap has set high standards for community involvement as he served on numerous business and civic boards, including Xavier University and Summit Country Day School. He was a founder of the Greater Cincinnati Venture Association and was appointed by the mayor to be chairman of the Cincinnati Citizens Committee on Youth. He saw the importance of young people learning business concepts, so he became involved in junior achievement of Greater Cincinnati and was one of the founders of the Greater Cincinnati Business Hall of Fame.
We are proud to celebrate our father. He overcame many obstacles in his life.
While playing for the Bengals from 1968 to 1979,
I think you're up.
Anybody who wants to see the rest of the video, just let me know. We'll shoot it to you. There were some wonderful comments from the family. Apologies for the glitch there, but I did want to share just a couple of thoughts. You know, it became real obvious from my first week on the job that Hap absolutely loved this event. He and Tom Hunnefeld and others really did so much some 30 years ago when we started doing the Hall of Fame events, and his legacy continues to live on. I want to point out that on your tables, there is a table tent with information about the visitation and mass services. The visitation starts this Saturday at 2 o'clock at Flannery Gym at Summit Country Day School. If you are available and interested, I know the family would greatly appreciate you doing that. Now, you saw in the video a little bit about his passion for Xavier University. He attended here I believe it was his master's degree that he earned here, and really made sure that he continued to support the university by numerous ways, including providing a scholarship. And here to make the presentation of that scholarship is David Cook, Chair of the Junior Achievement Board of Directors and Senior Vice President of Human Resources and the Chief People Officer for TriHealth. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Junior Achievement Board of Directors, I too want to thank you for attending this wonderful event this evening. Thank you for supporting Junior Achievement, and thank you for supporting the children and the kids in our community so that they have a better opportunity in the next generation to come. I also want to welcome you to this event on behalf of the Board of Directors as well. We are so proud of everything that we get to do on behalf of JA. It is not a job for us, it is a passion, and we live that every day and through every opportunity we have with Junior Achievement. This evening, I do have the privilege and the honor to share that the award that we're going to provide to a business student here at Xavier University, and it is the Edward Hap Casselberry Scholarship. This is a special college student who embodies the commitment to entrepreneurship and academic excellence. This year, we are pleased to recognize Ben Allegre as the Edward Casselberry Scholarship recipient. Joining Ben on the stage is Linda Kilborn, and she is a professor and chair, Department of Management and Entrepreneurship at the Williams College of Business.
Congratulations, Ben. And we are so proud of you and hope to induct you into the Business Hall of Fame one day. You ready for that? Not tomorrow, Ben. And we want to thank Mr. Casselberry's family for being here tonight. We appreciate that. We know this event was special to him. And Ben, I say you have big shoes to fill, if you will, because you can think of him every time you press forward. And as you watch just part of that video, you realize what a great American story that he had and how he was always willing to give back. So we appreciate everything that he's done. Now I'd like to introduce Cody Heffner. Yes, you can applaud that if you want to. Yeah. Now I'd like to introduce Cody Heffner, who is the Vice President of Marketing and Communications for the Cincinnati Museum Center.
Good evening. In just a moment, we will begin to hear the stories behind 6 outstanding business leaders who have transformed their industries and transformed our region. These laureates are chosen by a selection committee made up of business people, several past laureates, and representatives from Junior Achievement and Cincinnati Museum Center. As the keeper of our community's business archives, we are honored to collect and share the history of our community's inventors, tinkers, makers, and doers. The video tributes, along with videos from past honorees, are added to the collection in our special Business Hall of Fame kiosk that will once again be on display at Cincinnati Museum Center when we open our new Made in Cincinnati gallery this summer, celebrating the innovators and business leaders who have built and shaped our city over 2 centuries. Cincinnati Museum Center is proud to be part of this prestigious event, honoring the best and brightest leaders in our community and preserving their stories to inspire the curious minds that will one day be leaders who carry our region into a brilliant future. Since we last gathered, we've lost one of our founding fathers of this event, Tom Hunnefeld. Tom was passionate about everything Cincinnati, especially the Business Hall of Fame. He and Hap had the vision that has created this event that we enjoy today. Please join me in thanking Tom and his wife, Kathy, who's here tonight. I'd like to share a brief video that recognizes the wonderful person Tom was.
Tom, couldn't have done it without you. Every year, year after year, you're an invaluable piece of this puzzle that brings worthy laureates into the Hall of Fame.
Well, today, Tom, I want to thank you for all you do and have done for the Business Hall of Fame and the citizens of Cincinnati.
What I appreciate about Tom's engagement with us at the museum is his boundless energy and pride for this community.
Junior Achievement created, in conjunction with the Cincinnati Museum Center, an award that we call the Lifetime Achievement Award, that we give to those special people who just have played a particular role, a special role for us. And it is our honor today to present this award to Tom.
I first was introduced to Junior Achievement when I was a youngster in school, and I was involved in the Junior Achievement Program, and I will tell you, I still believe to this day that lots of hands-on experiences that are very useful in business that are learned by these youngsters. And one of my favorite organizations in the city has always been the Cincinnati Museum Center. I was a longtime trustee of the Cincinnati Historic Society. These are 2 great organizations, and I'm grateful that they're here. I think they do a lot of good for this city. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for this very thoughtful honor, and I'm truly grateful. So thank you so much.
You know, I was saying during dinner, we have special people. Cincinnati is a wonderful city, and primarily because you have people who invest so much of themselves into the success of our city. As I watched that video and really watched the other video, you think of the time and effort that they put forth, not only in this organization, but in so many others, because they love the city and they love to see it grow and prosper. So we thank him for everything that he did and so much what he meant for the city of Cincinnati. So give his family another big round of applause tonight. Now to tonight's main event, inducting 6 leaders into the Greater Cincinnati Business Hall of Fame. Please direct your attention to the screens to hear the story of the first laureate.
If you're a leader, you're coaching all the time. That is your job. Grew up in Anderson Township on the east side of town. I'm the 3rd of 4 boys. My dad would take regular Sunday morning walks down to my grandfather's house typically, and I would make that walk every Sunday with Dad. It was quality father and son time. Some Sundays the conversation would be as simple as, "Hi Dad, I love you." And then other Sundays they'd fight like cats and dogs over something to do with the business, and I was hooked. As a 10, 11-year-old kid, I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I graduated from Anderson High School in 1975, graduated from Northwestern University in 1979, and I received my MBA from Miami University in 1981. And that happened on Sunday, May 10th, and I started work at Midland on Monday, May 11th, bright and early at 8 a.m.
He was an offensive lineman in high school and in college. Offensive linemen have to be tenacious. They've got to be willing to run through a brick wall. And I think that kind of typifies John's personality.
John's a worker. He's a life learner, unwilling to sit on the sideline. And that's just true of what he grew up with about being a doer.
He became very interested in strategic planning, the whole process of strategic planning. Not only did he develop strategic plans for Midland, but also with our business partners.
He's very strategic in his thinking, but he's very down to earth in his application of that strategy. And that's a rare combination. I'd argue that's one of the many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons he's been so successful.
He became focused on Midland's values. I think watching him put those into practice was really impressive.
In the process of leading with our values, we took what had been a really good company and we turned it into a great company.
John admired coaches, and I think it was the coach in him that drove him to that level. It was wanting to give back to others.
Just as so much was given to me. I was given a 10-yard head start in the 100-yard dash of life. And so I've always viewed it as my responsibility as a leader and as a coach to enable others to accomplish things on their own.
I think one of his great strengths is his ability to question the status quo. But it made it easy to continue running the company. But he made the hard decision to sell the company. Looking 10 years out, what did the future look like? And he decided that was the most propitious time to sell. And I think in retrospect, he was 100% correct.
And when we sold Midland in 2008, I thought that I had lost the platform for teaching my children about how to live life and how to give back and how to make a difference. I had it all wrong. It's all about our principles and our values.
I think he had so many strong mentors in his life. It's easy for him to follow the models that he's seen and had applied to him to others.
My grandfather had a pet expression, it isn't the return on your investment that matters until you receive the return of your investment. When you think about how important mentoring and role modeling is to kids today, we were blessed to see that modeled in a real-world family experience, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
To see the goodness of people like John and what Junior Achievement represents, I'm just hopeful that that next generation understands what it means to really lean in and to not feel like anything is beyond their grasp.
So to take the lessons you've learned and to share them with others, it's what our grandfather did with us, it's what our father did with us. So I've believed in heroes ever since I was a kid and believe in the importance of having them in your lives.
You see that now in the post-career that John has and Carrie of affecting things like cancer research and what that enables. That's just at the end of the day what his DNA is about. So I'm not surprised that he's going to have a lasting impact in people that will never know him. And that's really special.
Well, John, we still believe in heroes too. Please welcome 2021 Hall of Fame inductee, John Hayden.
Thank you, and good evening to all of you. I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate each of the other laureates this evening. You're going to find that their stories are truly inspirational. I'd also like to acknowledge and congratulate all those laureates yet to come, and those who have gone before us, including my dad, who was, I knew I couldn't get through this, who was a 2007 laureate, and it's an honor to follow in his footsteps. Bo Schembechler, Johnny Pont, Carl Seymour, Dick Roach, Mrs. Garwood, my 5th grade spelling teacher who let us use pencils on spelling tests, Lee Griffin, Margaret Schulman, Vic Phillips, Bill Keating, Mike Connaughton, Jim Carey, Sister Frances Marie Thrailkill, my brothers, Jay, Bill, and Tom, my colleagues at Midland and American Modern, and so many of our customers, our clients, who made so much possible. These are just a few of the names that race through my head when I think about people who took a special interest in me and in my career and made so much possible. But all of those names pale in comparison to my top three. My mom, Lois Hayden, my dad, Joe, and my granddad, J.P. Hayden Sr., who founded the Midland Company in 1938 and who showed us what a man born with little more than a set of principles could achieve in life. Those principles, as Jay mentioned earlier, lived with us in our business. Integrity, do what you say you're going to do. Win-win, don't offer a deal to somebody you wouldn't take yourself. Team, you might be good at what you do, but you're going to be a lot more successful if you surround yourself with people who are good at what they do too. Humility, understanding our limitations, better enables us to put together a team that complements our weaknesses. Personal growth, don't ever stop learning. Creativity, you better find a different way of doing it tomorrow than you did it yesterday, because tomorrow's way ain't going to be good enough anymore. Propriety, do the right things for the right reasons, always. Sharing and caring, yell for help when you know you need it, offer the person next to you help when you know they need it. And strong work ethic, there's no substitute for breaking a sweat every day. It's good for the soul. Anything I've ever accomplished in my life traces directly back to those 9 principles. In closing, I'd like to express my deep appreciation, affection, and love for my wife of 40-plus years, Carrie, and my kids, John, Kate, and Abby, and their growing families, and our granddaughter, Belle, who's here with us. I love you all very much, and I thank you very much.
I think that we were all educated to accept only the best we could produce.
He often talked about when he was 8 or 9 years old, he would be given the job. There were huge cartons where sheets came in, and they were so big nobody could reach down to the bottom. So my father's first job was being held by his ankles to get the sheets out of the big carton that was in a department store's basement.
I can remember that at the dinner table that most of our discussion were on things that happened in the store.
By World War II, my grandfather decided that the company needed to move nationally, and that's when my father joined them.
I think he loved retailing and the immediacy of it, and how you were challenged every day by it.
And I also don't remember any period of time when I was thinking about any other career but coming into the business. It was just sort of an automatic thing. I never discussed it, never questioned it.
They were about a $400 million business totally at that point, but nobody knew what Federated was. When he was at Federated, it went from about 400 million to, I think, 13 billion, which is pretty good growth.
The tandem management idea didn't really become a policy until Dad and I began working together in Federated.
He learned to grow in the, because initially it was just downtown stores. And then you began to have branches and computerization. And so they became real estate expert.
I think from his experience at Lazarus department store and the long generations of people that had been involved in that store, they were very closely tied to the community. So I think that was just central to all the stores in Federated.
He felt he was challenged, and he really enjoyed his work, and he enjoyed the people, I think, more than almost anything else that he came across.
I think he spent a lot of time picking people to run the different divisions in Federated, the Pauline's and the Bloomingdale's and Abraham and Strauss. He didn't feel that the department store would be successful unless it was merged with the community, and each success of the store was tied into the community's success.
And he loved Cincinnati. I mean, he thought that Cincinnati was just a great place to raise a family, but he felt it was better to be out and sort of see the real world.
During the 60s, when there was so much unrest in the cities, in terms of racial unrest and riots and so forth, I think my father was very involved in building coalitions in each of the communities that Federated had stores to try to draw those people together to come up with solutions.
It's all part of sort of a family heritage. The basic loyalties or responsibilities that we had to family, community, and nation.
When I was in high school, he spent 2 years running the United Funds for America and Canada. And then he also was asked by Kennedy, before he took office, to help design the Peace Corps.
Life basically is going to be judged in that fleeting moment or month when you're going to judge whether or not you've used the time allotted to you in the most effective manner. The thing to do is to live it as full as you can, to learn from your mistakes but not brood over them, and to work hard and effectively.
We are pleased to honor 2021 Hall of Fame inductee Ralph Lazarus. Presenting Ralph is Scott Robertson.
Thank you, Curtis. On behalf of Ralph's children, Jim, John, and Kathy, I accept this recognition and thank those of you who are here tonight in support of Ralph. It's quite a story. If you're a longtime Cincinnati and you remember the Shillitoe stores that then became Lazarus, that eventually became Macy's, the impact Ralph and his family have had on our community is tremendous and long-lasting. I know his family is grateful for this recognition. Thank you.
I'm a serial entrepreneur is what I am. I mean, in two industries, that's what I do. We grew up in a blue-collar work environment, very focused on hard work, baseline integrity ethics, things that I don't even know what those words meant at the time. For example, on our street, my brother and I would get a snow shovel, and not only would we shovel the walk, but our job was to shovel everybody's sidewalk. And so the one time I said to my father, I said, "What are we gonna get paid for this?" He looked at me and he said, "They're your neighbors." So you learn pretty quickly that you're there not only for yourself, but you're there for the community around you. Ended up at Penn State, went to work for a company that was in the recruiting business. They offered me the presidency of the company when I was 30 years old. I turned it down. We mortgaged everything we had, stock in the company and everything, to get out on my own. And with the right people, we could advance the businesses, and we had our future in our hands. Then we ended up doing the same thing for 6 Fortune 50 companies. That's how I got to where I am now, because I would go in and take a look at their business plan, their forecast, doing an assessment of the competitive market, and along the way I would find gaps that they hadn't recognized that I would come to them with and say, here's an opportunity. They would look at me and I said, look, I'll do a white paper. I'll invest half the money, you invest half the money. I'll go out and find the people. And we did that only in 2 verticals, healthcare and garbage. Because my mentor said to me one time, you know, there are only 4 recession-insulated businesses: food, garbage, medicine, and death. He said, so pick any one of the 4 of them. And so my entire career, ironically, is in healthcare and garbage, or waste, however you want to look at it. It's great advice. So people are motivated by money. And then really good people are motivated by responsibility for that money. Then the really good people want authority over that responsibility. They want the ability to say yes or no, but eventually there's one last level, and that's a power level. And the power level is where you make policy. And when you're making policy, you walk the bedroom floors thinking about a lot of variables. There are only 2 assets in a company: people and money. That's it. When you bury it all down, it's people and money. Now you have to have enough money, but then you have a vision, a concept, an idea. You put together a strategy. You go out and bring people in. Most importantly, we work on the implementation of that strategy, which gives us the ability to take that money and lose it or make it grow. So of the 2 main assets in a company, the most important are people. And when you come to that realization, I thought about policy making for all of the people in all of our businesses. They're toiling at 2 or 3 in the morning, not for that paycheck. They're toiling because we want to get the ball across the line. They know I have their back at the corporate office. I know they're doing what they're supposed to be doing for mutual benefit of everyone. There have been a lot of people that have been helpful in my family and my life's path. To single 1 or 2 out would be difficult, but they all pretty much have a resounding theme. When they come and help you out, they don't pull you up. They just lend a hand to help you along. You have to pull yourself up. Anybody I've interacted with of quality, they don't expect anything in return. They want you to take that and move your experience forward with other people. And we continue to do that, and we believe very strongly in that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor. Please welcome the 2021 Hall of Fame inductee Joe Mayernick to the stage.
Thank you. Kind of a lively crowd this evening. You know, wow, it is so great to look out and see all you ladies eloquently dressed, you fellows dapper, and in support of Junior Achievement, OKI, and the Cincinnati Museum Center. I would like to personally thank the Junior Achievement, OKI, and Cincinnati Center and being included in this group of 2021 laureates. It's very humbling. Thank you. We live currently in the greatest country in America. And that country has given us the privilege for the opportunity to achieve. And in so achieving, it gives us the opportunity and privilege to share with others, whether it's through a transfer of knowledge, physical, mental, or emotional support, or financial contribution. When I look around this room, there's something I'd like you to do. And I'd like you all to stand for a minute, if you would, if you can get up out of those chairs. I know it's a little tight. And I'd like you to take a moment to look at the people at your table. Look at them. You know who you all are. Look at the table around you. And I would like you, as part of this evening where we're recognizing achievement, to put your hands together and applaud each other for the achievements that you have received, and more importantly, how you have continually shared them with this community to make Cincinnati one of the leading cities and communities in the most generous giving country in the world. Thank you. Thank you very much. I can't forget thanking my wife of 52 years. Yeah, I know, she's a saint. That's from the peanut gallery over there. They know exactly how much time she's put up with me. But for family and friends, our friends are part of our extended family. And once again, thanks for all you do in supporting this city and helping people with need. Thank you.
Use knowledge to drive your judgment, and use passion to fuel your commitment. Growing up in New Orleans was very, very interesting from the standpoint of the time, the era. It was still Jim Crow, segregated South. I went to Catholic schools, elementary, high school, and college. I actually picked up art on my own, lots of drawings and India inks and washes.
Ed's agenda always had the most beautiful artwork. His level of creativity is just phenomenal, and it has shown up in so many different ways throughout his life.
So I got interested in art, music, science, math, and had stimulation for the whole brain. I had the real disappointment of not being able to attend my state school. I got a letter back from them that said, we're sorry, but our policies will not allow you on our campus at this time. That was 1961. So I had to shift gears. And then on to Xavier University, I discovered Procter and Gamble, and it was really my Underground Railroad escape from the Deep South. So I worked on Pringles, I worked on turning around secret antiperspirant into a big brand. So I got an opportunity to apply creative thinking even in R&D.
Ed's always been an entrepreneur. He was an entrepreneur at Procter and Gamble. The work he did on Pringles was entrepreneurial work.
P&G at the time didn't really have an easy route going from R&D to advertising or general management. One of the first people who did that was Janet Reed. She was one of my role models.
Around 1984, Ed actually became my boss. He turned me into the scientist that I still am today and into the marketer that I eventually became.
The biggest accomplishment I feel I had in marketing was creating a culture that would deliver creative end products.
The number of people that Ed has impacted positively, who feel differently about themselves because of Ed's counsel, and who figured out what to do better than they otherwise would have, that number is huge.
After P&G and helping to build the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, my focus was on younger people, particularly entrepreneurs.
He's a font of creative ideas, so you enjoy and you benefit from being with him and coming to know him well. And that's been true in every aspect of what I've worked with him on, whether it be Procter and Gamble, the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, the Freedom Center in a special way.
But he also had an interest in the automotive industry. So over time, he became one of our leading African-American CEOs in this region and across the United States with his entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurs have blind spots. We all have blind spots. And so my interest and focus today is to help fill in where there are blind spots so that we dramatically improve the success rates of young entrepreneurs, particularly minority and female entrepreneurs, but not only, for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming 2021 Hall of Fame inductee Ed Rigo to the stage tonight.
At P&G, you always had to have your remarks prepared. This is tremendous. As some of you know, I've been married to this marvelous woman, Carol Tyler Rigo, for 57 years. So now you know who really deserves this award. It's yours, Carol. It's great to be here with our family and all of our friends. There's so many friends in this room. It's unbelievable. So I'm going to do something maybe a little bit different. I'm going to talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Wonderful words that couldn't have been written any better. And these words apply to all of us. And it especially applies to those who are attempting to be achievers. And after almost 79 years on this planet, I've learned a few secrets of success and failure. And I want to share one of those main secrets with you in the next few minutes. Every achiever, young and old, have certain hot buttons which motivate us. And it is critical to learn what those buttons are for yourself. And I found 4 universal motivators which I adapted from a Herman Brain Dominance Index model, which Janet Reed took to the marketplace and made millions of dollars teaching. So what are those 4 brain motivators? They are, and maybe some of you could recite these: creativity, problem solving, leadership, and compassion. So think about which one of these applies most to you. And maybe the person you know best who's sitting next to you doesn't really know. Maybe you don't know which one motivates you, but that's what I want you to think about. So think about creativity, which is making something significant out of nothing. Problem solving, taking your training and skills to analyze the problem and find a solution. Leadership, guiding and inspiring others to use their knowledge and skills to get the desired work done efficiently. And finally, compassion, understanding and encouraging human feelings in a way that is authentic and convincing. And when I talk about compassion, it reminds me 3 weeks ago, we lost a great compassionate man. His name was Carl Westmoreland. Woody Keon is here from the Freedom Center tonight, and he knows of which I speak. Carl's compassion allowed him to tell the stories of history as though he had actually lived in that time and knew those stories. Some stories of pain, but stories of heroism that inspired others. Zelensky is doing the same thing. I've had the great fortune of being able to work with all 4 of the universal motivators during the course of my long, multifaceted career. And I've witnessed a few unmotivated employees. But they are miraculously changed when their correct hot button is pressed. So you should look for ways to find those around you who are unmotivated, find their hot button and press it. You should look for ways to understand your own hot buttons and press them. It's really hard to see up here with all that light. It's also hard to move this paper around. If you find an employee who is sitting around on a routine manufacturing job and you want to press his button, and his button happens to be creativity, build into his job creative elements. Start with yourself. What are your motivators? How are you feeding these motivators every day? As you grow in your career and in your personal happiness, you will soon learn that you cannot be truly happy until you share your knowledge and your success with others who want to achieve And that is the beauty of the Junior Achievement Mission. OKI and the Cincinnati Museum Center, we thank you and all the sponsors in this room for supporting this effort. So I can't end my remarks without a word about the struggle for inclusion. Peg Wyatt and I were pioneers at P&G. We were pioneers for inclusion. And fellow Hall of Famers and P&G graduate Janet Reed found her personal motivation and left P&G to form a career, an entrepreneurial career about diversity and inclusion. John and Francie Pepper are the finest examples of a family dedicated to equity and inclusion. And our corporations and our organizations in this city are picking up the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The momentum is tremendous in this city. Look at what's happening at P&G and other corporations, at the Freedom Center, at the Urban League, all three chambers, the Workforce Innovation Center, the Greater Cincinnati Foundation, Cincinnati Works, our professional sports teams, Centrifuge, Ready, Cincinnati, Nehemiah, and the Minority Business Accelerator are all examples of how this community is becoming dedicated to economic empowerment and inclusion. This massive movement forward, this massive movement toward empowerment and inclusion will grow the economic pie in Cincinnati and help to assure social justice for everyone. And I'm confident that in the face of all the adversity surrounding us, we will succeed in our mutual journey to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. Thank you.
Essentially what Pauline was doing was standing up the next generation and making the community better.
My mother was very businesslike, very professional, this is my goal. One of her favorite songs was Only the Strong Survive.
I grew up in Cincinnati in the 1960s, 1970s. There were not a lot of women in positions of authority who looked like me. But Pauline was one.
I met Pauline on one of my very first audit assignments when I came to Cincinnati. At the time, she was CEO, COO, CFO, Community Relations PR Officer for Major Federal Savings and Loan.
I was trying to set up an office support services business, and Pauline couldn't have been more supportive and open. She was approachable. She just helped me.
Pauline's personality was soft, but yet it was direct. She was very focused on bettering the African American community.
The other thing that impressed me about Pauline was that she's a mother. You know, she sees what her daughter is going through, and she would be more receptive to serving as a mentor, and certainly she was. I mean, she just went above and beyond.
I looked at my mom as kind of a shero, always at the forefront, always providing opportunities, always being about business, but always willing to mentor, to teach, to share, to reach a hand back and say, come on, this is how you do that.
She was always kind of in the background working to make you better, to provide you success opportunities.
And I just told her, I said, Pauline, I'm going to law school. I have to learn this on her own without me asking or anything. Went out and sought scholarships for me to attend law school.
The thing that I liked about Pauline was that as she was trying to encourage you, that she would in fact give you the words and good advice, but she would add to that the actionable opportunities that really facilitated you doing what she was asking you to do.
Everything from her involvement with the YWCA, her involvement with Junior Achievement, her involvement with the Cosmopolitan Club, Business and Professional Women. All of those activities were not just about bettering herself, but about networking and meeting people and then being able to say to the next person, come on, Cheryl, let me show you how to do this.
I believe that Pauline was instrumental in helping me to understand that I could be an entrepreneur.
Pauline also pushed me by putting an opportunity in front of me. It did open my eyes to what the possibilities could be.
She set as an example for me that you have to, when the door opens, you got to run through it because you never know when it's going to close.
That was my mother. Always willing to give somebody a chance, but that was my mother. Thank you so much for this honor, and I'm excited that my mother's been selected.
And this is where she would give that really soft smile and tilt and wave her hand and say, oh, not me, not me. She would not be the one to want to take it, but she would be one to recognize the critical importance of it and want others to take it.
I agree with that, Denise.
Yeah.
Very well said.
So on this night, we say, yes, you. We are pleased to honor Pauline Strayhorn as a 2021 Hall of Fame inductee. Representing Pauline is her daughter, Charlotte Strayhorn.
I promise not to take long, even though I am the daughter of a Baptist preacher. My mother was a woman who had no doubt, no fear, just courage. Bessie Coleman, Ida B. Wells, Kathy Williams, Josephine Baker, Mabel Fairbanks, Tony Stone, Sojourner Truth, Fannie Lou Hamer, Coretta Scott King, Michelle Obama. Women of courage who were unsung heroes. My mother is on the top of that list for me. As I look at her life and the legacy she left behind, I am honored to receive this symbol, this representation, this heavy paperweight on her behalf. To the other laureates that were received this year, congratulations, welcome to the team. But we're not done. My mother, even though she's not physically here, is not done. It's up to me to carry on that legacy. I listed 10 strong Black women. You probably recognize 2 or 3. Look up the other names, each one making their mark on our society. Each one saying, I don't want the recognition, I just want y'all to do right. I am a graduate of Xavier University because my mother refused to let me go to UC. Thank you, Mommy. I have an education, I have a mind, I have a desire, I have an expression. And because of my mother, I have no doubt, I have no fear, just courage. And I say to the little sisters and the little brothers in this house, stay strong and be deliberate in your actions. And my closing remark is this. With 4 minutes and 58 seconds to go in the game, the score is tied. If you are taping this, plug your ears. 63-63, we are XU.
Tell me once again, why is it that we don't hire women for management jobs? And that was the question that changed corporate America. I grew up on a farm in Mulberry, Ohio. My dad was a federal judge, my mom a retired model, and we had family dinners, 6:30 precisely. There were no interruptions. There was lively discussions about religion, politics, current events. And at that dinner table, I found my voice. When I graduated from Seven Hills, which was then an all-girls school, I did very poorly on the SATs. And the headmaster told me that you can't go to Smith, you're not smart enough. When a naysayer comes into your life, particularly one who's supposed to be a supporter, that is a big deal, and you can react one of two ways. And for me, I wanted to prove him wrong, and I did.
Peg is so positive that I know she hit so many roadblocks along the way, but she's kind of like a bull in a china shop in that stuff doesn't really slow her down.
She's not afraid to advocate for herself, for her business. She does not shy away from a fight.
I went to Procter and Gamble and walked into the employment office, and this nice lady said that she would give me the typing test. And I said, I don't type, I'm not going to type. All I can do is think. Don't you have a test for that? This lady decided to break the rules, and she gave me the test that was only for men, because at the time, brand management was for brand men, and women were secretaries, clerks, telephone operators, etc. And I did well enough on the test that the company faced a dilemma. I checked all the boxes except I was a girl, and the policy was, men only. So they called a young brand manager named John Pepper.
There's nothing a person likes more in a position like I was there than finding a young person who you really can see wants to break the mold and innovate, and who has the energy and determination to follow through to make it happen.
He and a gentleman named Tom Lako and John Smale were incredible mentors. It was the world of mad men, and there were lots of no's for any women who wanted to go outside the defined roles. But the great news about Procter and Gamble was that they said yes.
A lot of the memories aren't even sort of the Mad Men kind of memories. They're actually that she really kicked butt there and rose up pretty rapidly.
I'll never know the half of how hard it really was, but I'm not surprised to see Peg identified as one of her core values. Never have a bad day, even though you know you will.
The biggest challenge I faced was trying to manage a family and the workplace. At the end of the day, I ended up working for the president of the company directly for 5 years, trying to plan what Procter would be, according to John Smale, in the next millennium. I realized after 5 years that I could not do a good job for Procter and Gamble and for the family if I continued to try to do both, and left. But I am ecstatic that I did that. And taking a break isn't all bad. I mean, I took a break. I had become a mom full-time for 5 or 6 years, thought I need to get back to work for lots of reasons, and I wrote letters to everybody I knew and had worked with in high, fancy circles, and nobody wanted me. Most people thought I didn't have the capability anymore. I decided I would have the attitude of, I can do that. No matter what anybody said to me, I would say to them, I can do that. Let's get a real estate license. I said, I can do that. Somebody wanted to flip houses, and I said, have her call me, I can do that. And then I did the same thing with the venture capital fund.
She doesn't really dwell on what she can't do. She really thinks about what she can do. She's a possibility person, and how can I, make things better and make a building better, make this person better, or develop people.
I realized somewhere along the line, we've made progress, an enormous amount of progress, but we are not there yet. And I say that not because diversity is something you should do. Diversity is something that's smart to do. So when I thought about that, I thought maybe some of my stories can help. Maybe.
And now, would you all please join me in welcoming 2021 Hall of Fame inductee Peg Wyatt. There you are.
Thank you. In 1967, when I started at Procter and Gamble, virtually every single manager in every Fortune 500 company in all of America was a white male. Everybody looked alike. We all know what Mark Twain said about our town being behind the times. Well, in many respects that's true, but in the area of diversity, it's not. Procter and Gamble and Cincinnati gave Ed and me an opportunity a half century before diversity, equity, and inclusion entered boardroom conversations. We thank you for that. I sought a thinking job in brand management, and I was lucky enough to be interviewed by John Pepper, the very first interview. I told John, I was just an undergraduate, that I could do the work in brand management. I could do it. I could compete with the guys from the East Coast business schools. I could be a marketing manager. After the interview, I took the bus home, went in the library, pulled out the dictionary, and I looked up the word marketing. That approach has been the story of my life. Just say, I can do that, jump in and figure it out. I became a serial starter of things, most of which I didn't know anything about, in fields in which I had no experience. I started with several of the women in this room, very distinguished women, a women's leadership group, a venture capital firm, and the Cincinnati Squash Academy. I also founded Grandin Properties. We signed a purchase contract for our first building in Over the Rhine in 1994. That was 30 years ago about. I was so excited about its potential that I took 3 bankers on a tour. We got about halfway through, and one of them pulled me aside and said, Peg, we can't loan you any money for this building. I said, why? He said, well, it's in shambles. I mean, it's all dilapidated. It's vacant, and it's in the highest crime rate neighborhood in the entire United States. I thought for a minute, assessed the situation, and then looked at him, all 3 actually, and said, gentlemen, it's a darn good thing I don't need your money. And I plowed ahead. And that is my wish for the young people who join Junior Achievement or visit the Museum Center or play squash at the Academy. Believe in yourself. No matter what, say, I can do that, even when you haven't the foggiest idea how. Pioneers do not travel alone. I'm grateful for my girlfriends for being such good friends, for the supportive men who make women stronger, for the rock stars I've been privileged to work with, for our children and grandchildren who make life worthwhile, and for my husband, Jack, the love of my life, most days, and my cheerleader every day. Thank you.
How about that, huh? Give all of our honorees a big, big round of applause. Congratulations to our laureates, their families, and colleagues. And thank you again to all of the great sponsors for tonight's event, to each of you for supporting junior achievement through the Greater Cincinnati Business Hall of Fame. Now, before we say goodnight, I want to take a look at the screen there. On October 6th of this year, we will be right back here for the 2022 Hall of Fame, where we will be inducting Mary Miller, David Fox, and Bob Morgan to the Hall of Fame. A couple of personal thoughts. Earlier today, when I was talking with Jeff, I said, you know, I'm always impressed by folks who do such great things and their humility about it. And I said, you know, think about Cincinnati and Greater Cincinnati. And I thought about that movie, It's a Wonderful Life. You know, because if you take someone out of a scene, things could drastically change. And you know, as you listen to the stories even tonight, just think how Cincinnati would be so different if our honorees weren't here. So let me just share just a couple closing thoughts. I'll start with Carol's husband, Ed Rigo. On a personal note, Ed, and I've said this to you personally, you have been a guiding light to me, always kind to me, and I appreciate it. Don't get a chance to say thank you that often, but I appreciate it. And I can tell you, your state's school made one heck of a mistake, and Cincinnati is the better of that. John Pepper was right when he said, you're just a fountain of creativity. And you talk about the economic empowerment and inclusion, and it has your name stamped all over it. And so we thank you. To Joe, your baseline integrity. When I heard that, I thought, wow, I'm going to use that. Because that's what it's all about, integrity. People can count on you and trust you. And when you know that the people around you are the most important thing, that says a lot. I will also note, the next time it snows, I'm calling you. Neighbor. Of course, the Lazarus name is Cincinnati. You think Lazarus and you think Cincinnati. Peg, never shy away from a good fight. I think we all thank you for breaking the mold. And you remind us to say, I can do that. I can do that. And so we thank you. To Charlotte, your mom, you said only the strong survive. And she reminded us, yes, courage is necessary to force change, to open doors, to sometimes just cause your neighbor to smile. It takes courage to sometimes break barriers. And we thank her and we thank you. We thank your family. Last but not least, This is to little Belle. Yeah, always believe in heroes. You got a lot of heroes in this room, a lot of them. But you know, you can just look to your granddad. There was a image in there when he had a cape on. So some of us, not us, but he has a cape. We can't fly. He can. He had 9 principles of being a good business person. But Belle, I think you learned from him it's most important to be a good person and believe in heroes. It's okay. Again, our congratulations to these amazing, amazing leaders in our community. You will notice on the back of your program, you might have a green sticker. If you have that green sticker, you have just won the centerpiece of flowers on your table. Now, if you don't have a green sticker, you can't just start taking things because we've come to the end of the night. It is always a pleasure. This is a wonderful, wonderful event. So on that note, have a good night and a better day tomorrow. God bless you.